Welcome back to another Pristine Productions here, Secrets of the Pros. I want to shout out to the fans. Thanks for hitting me up. I'll remember to follow my page, subscribe, be a full-time member subscriber, and check out my videos on mixing with Slate, Echosphere, Studio One using the chord track, scoring with suspense for film scoring. I got stuff on making soca hits with Pristine Loops. Remember to hit me up on my website as well, pristineproduction.website.com. A link in the description here. Today we're going to be talking about Slate Dream Rack mixing here. We're talking about the new Slate Digital VMR2. And this has some killer plugs that you might want to take a look at. This is the dead closest thing to UAD, guys. If you want a real analog rich sound, besides Wave, Slate has some really, really great stuff. So let me go into it here. So I want to get our mix to sound. That's with the Slate stuff off. And that's with the Slate stuff on. So let's get right into it. So here is the new Slate Digital VMR2. The second installment here, and this thing has a ton of plug-in, guys. Here on top of here we have the channel strip, the classic strip, the vibe strip, a deep strip, extreme strip, a mixed bus strip, an EQ strip, which you can select from the different categories here. So you get a nice preset rack here. On the left-hand side here, we have the Air EQ and that stuff. We have some Blackbird Studio stuff here, man. So if you're a big fan of Blackbird, we have a couple of mics, classic instrument mics. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. We have the compressors, the FG, and the FG2A. I'm going to drag this here real quick. The FG2A is what you see on a lot of commercial, which they use for that super nice vocals here. That's the FGA there. I just want to show you that. And we have some more. Here's the FG Stress, by the way, model from the UAD stuff as well, official Slate. The Gate Classic here and the Gate drums. I'm going to drag this to the right here so you can take a little bit of a look at that. Beautiful, beautiful plugins here. So the question is, do they sound as do they look as good as do they sound as good as they look? Here we have the Hollywood here. Virtual Tube Collection, the Hollywood. We have London, we have New York. We have the Monster, the Trimmer. So let's get right into it. So I'm using Slate across all of these instruments. I have it on the guitars, well, except the hi-hats. I have it on percussions, the snare, the muted bass. I'm going to show you here in my session real quick. VMR. 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 instances of the of the Slate VMR digital here. And of course, we have additional plugins like the tape machine, but I'm getting to the mix section here. So I'm going to turn on the Slate here. I'm going to show you what's going on here. So I'm going to turn off the guitar. I'm going to leave on just the reverbs. So this is how we get that epic sound. So I have the dry guitar here. Not sounding too bad. I needed some space and depth real quick, so I just add some reverbs and delay. But now we need some analog color, and this is where a lot of the beginner producers are falling short. I believe I did a video already about why I use analog plugins and less stock plugs, because these plugins here emulate the gear. It emulates the gear, guys. So you're getting the color, you're getting the punch, you're getting the warmth, you're getting the power, rather than a clean plugin which has no color, So let's get into the FG Stress here. So for this guitar here, I want a little bit more body, a little bit more weight here. So I'm going to turn on the FG here. Let me turn off these ones. I'm going to turn on this one here. I'm going to turn on the Slate. Here we go. So I'm going to bypass, so I get a little bit more punchy. And as you can hear, the Slate is already giving the guitar that nice analog width here. Now I have the different ratio I can switch to. I could go to nuke, which goes very extreme. Now I'm going to turn on the revival here, which give a little bit of shimmer here and thickness. Let's turn that on. I can solo it. So this is what the revival is adding some clarity. Natural. Off. On. And on top of that, I wanted to get a little bit more highs here. So I added the FGS, the Brit 4 EQ. Let me just double check a few things here. Okay. So we're getting that nice clarity here. And then we have the trimmer, of course, which I can use to take down a volume if I need to. So this is before. This is after. Now it's sounding like there is an EQ boost on the lows for this guitar, but it's actually the analog stuff that is doing that. I have a little bit of thickness here cranked up to about 8 dB, and that's what's coming from the shimmer and thickness there. So you can hear that nice bite on top of the guitar on that high, on that top end frequency there. Now let's move on. I'm gonna go down to let's go to the percussions here. I'm gonna pull up another instance of the Slate virtual mix rack here. I'll be using the virtual channel here to get some nice analog warmth. So I'm gonna play the percussions. When I turn it on, listen to how more upfront it gets. Off. On. Turn on shimmer. We can go through the different consoles here. So let's get to the kick drums and toms here. All I'm using is the Slate virtual rack here, guys. Now here's another instance here where we have the New York virtual tube collection here, along with the FG Stress with the trimmer. So I'm gonna do some muting here. Let's bring up the kick drums here. Now, I'm going to show you what this thing does here. We're going to get to the guitar in a little bit here. So I need more punch and power. So first thing I'm going to do, we want the New York. Have the mix turn up to 100% here. We need some with the warm this thing up. So listen to the kick drums and the toms. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn off the solo. Off. Listen to the depth on the kick. And I can switch between push, normal. There you can see the light bling a little bit there with the preamp. So I'm getting a little bit of punch there. Now we want a little bit more highs here on both the kick and the tom on this one track here. So I'm boosting about 4 dB on the Slate FGS, 4 kilohertz here, a little bit of 7K. Listen to that low end. I'm boosting about 50 kilohertz there at about 9 dB. So a little filtering here. So I'm rolling off about 40 and I'm boosting 50 to get a little bit more weight. Now I want to get a little bit more punch, a little bit more clarity here. So I'm going to bring in the Slate FG Stress, which is giving us a more compressed sound. Regain back some of the volume with the trimmer here. I'm going to boost it up a little bit. Right about here. And now I'm going to switch to the snare drum here. Slate off. Drum kind of get a little bit soft. We're getting more warm when it engage virtual channel. And you can hear that analog richness coming through. So let's get to the guitars now. I have a muted guitar here. So let me pause here and let's bring in the muted guitar here. I'm gonna turn off these plugs because I want you to hear what they're doing. So this is the guitar without the Slate. And what I like about these plugins, man, they really sound like the gears, the rack. I never owned a Slate gear before, but these plugins I can identify the gear sound. You know, my ears are professionally trained. You know, so I can tell what these things are adding. So the first one is the Blackbird Studio Virtual Microphone Collection here. So if I click on mics here, I can go through the individual mics. Right now we're using the 849. Let's turn it on. Listen to the tone of that guitar. Off. Let's go to 12. 67. So the 49 actually gives you a little bit more rounder sound. And here's the second one. This is the classical instruments here. And we want that near proximity effect. So I have that turned up. I'm going to turn it on. If I switch to the left, then the guitar takes a step back. Bring it a little bit closer. We're going to add some compression, some punch with the FG Stress. You can really hear that punch there. Off. On. And then with the EQ here from the FGA, I'm boosting about 7K here, about 9 dB. Sounding beautiful. Really compact there. Bring that in with the drums. Let's go to the basics so you can hear the analog warmth these plugins are adding, man. It's just awesome. And on the final one here, we're going to talk about the bass line here. Let me turn off the plugs here so I can reveal what's going on. I'm going to play the bass here. So this is the raw bass here. Add some punch and bottom with the Slate. Again, about 1 to 2 dB of gain reduction there. And also, I'm going to be cutting a little bit of the 426 here. Let me do a little bit of filtering here. I'm going to turn on the FGS. Let's turn on the Monster, the Extreme Dynamic processor here. There you can really hear that dynamics and the characteristics, the characteristics of the bass guitar. You can adjust the release here. A little bit of trim. We can do some phase reverse here. Rack off, rack on. It sounds amazing. I'm not even boosting. The only thing I'm boosting is a little bit of the 1K range to get a little mid-range, but I'm not boosting the lows. These analog plugs is giving me that warm, that bottom end. Bring in the drums. And there you have it, folks. So I'm gonna stop there, guys. And all plugins off. You can turn your mix from this to this, to that fat, full sound. Thanks to the Slate VMR2. So I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. For me to mix and master for you guys, hit me up. I charge reasonable price to get that commercial top level sound.